This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Hello and welcome to Tracks from the Edge, Trek FM show in which we look at each episode of Star Trek through the lens of an audio commentary.
That's a weird description.
I don't know. I accidentally started going down one path and decided to circle back and make it work somehow.
Well, if memory serves, you introduce it by saying where we do audio commentaries for every episode of Star Trek, but you decided to remix it in a way that made no sense.
Yeah, it's funny that you should mention if memory serves, because that's...
It's such a random turn of phrase that I just used for no reason.
Yeah, well, coincidentally, this week's episode is going to be an audio commentary for Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 8, if memory serves. But before we get into that, some newsies.
Some newsies.
From the world of Star Trek and the commentary Trek Star department. It's been announced that Star Trek Discovery director Hanali Culpepper is going to be directing the first two episodes of the Picard show. So she has directed what's considered to be the best episode of Discovery so far, according to user ratings on IMDb, Vaulting Ambition. That's the one where they eat the Kelpian and other stuff. And she also... It has been on Trek FM. Amy Nelson and Brandon Shea Mutala interviewed her for an episode of The Edge last season. So you know what? If you want to hear all about Hanali Culpepper from Hanali Culpepper herself, head on over to The Edge. We got you covered. She also did a short film, which is a documentary about people waiting in line for Star Wars Episode 1. It's funny. It's cool.
So that sounds bleak.
I've been there. I'm
into that.
Yeah. Okay. So moving back to Discovery. If memory serves, you ready to start this thing?
Oh my God, I'm so ready to start this thing.
Okay. We are just past the logo, the CBS All Access logo. It's weird. Someone posted a random video of like the start of this episode, like recorded off of their TV, but they weren't in America, so it was the first time I saw like the Netflix logo before Discovery. It was weird. Anyway, so go
like
past
a mirror
that.
universe version of watching this show.
Exactly. So go past all that, and then we're going to start on the first frame of black after the distributor logo.
Yep.
And if you're ready, Max, we will start this up in 3, 2, 1, start. Previously on Star Trek, what's going on?
And throughout like doing this show, I have said over and over again, I don't see a reason for there to be previously ons.
Yeah.
And then they did this previously on, and I was like, this is the only time where I feel like they've earned it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no.
Look, they earned it here. Okay, and this is why they earned it, because this goes beyond just the previously on. For one thing, it makes sense here because, I mean, obviously a lot of people rewatched The Cage, this week.
Here's a good question, though. Here's a real question, though.
Yeah.
How did you rewatch The Cage this week?
What do you mean?
Like, it's not on CBS All Access,
Yeah,
as far as I can tell. Where is it?
They hide it. It's buried at the end. Well, on some of them, it's the last episode of season 1. On some of them, it's the
last episode of season 1.
On some of them, it's the last episode of season 3. Because of production orders and all this other crap. No,
that's unacceptable.
You got to look for it. Like on the Blu-rays, it's on like the end of season 3. So
yeah, that's the Blu-rays, but like that's all the way downstairs. Like I'm not going to do that. Like I was looking on CBS All Access and I was like, oh, they don't even have it here.
No, they got it there because I watched it. So
all right,
yeah.
Well, anyway, I was like when this came on, I got like my wife was like, whoa, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, this is the unaired pilot. Yeah. This is the weirdest thing ever that they've ever done. Like in maybe in all of Star Trek history.
You mean the previously on right there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't think that that's necessarily true because, I mean, yes, it's weird and everything like that, but let's also remember that time that Cisco and Dax were running around hanging out with, like, Spock and stuff on, Space Station K7 or whatever. You know what I mean? But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing why I love this, okay? For one thing, yes, it does give you all that backstory. And I did not rewatch The Cage this week because I rewatched it when season 2 was about to start because, of course, with the Pike and you get and Spock and everything and where are they at and you want to watch it. And, I've seen this episode so many damn times and you know what? I mean, it's a really good episode. It's not that good. I just watched it a few months ago. I didn't want to watch it again. I was actually thinking about watching The Menagerie again, but I ran out of time because of things like recording this show or whatever. But here's the thing. Okay, that came up and I loved it.
Editing the heck out of this show.
No, you can say damn. That came up, and I was like, well, this is really cool because it is giving us the information that we need. But also, what it's doing is it's treating that episode as just another story that happened, just like this series is doing that in a much more sort of abstract way by talking about things without showing them or recasting people who we've seen before in episodes which have aired 52 years ago or whatever it is. And by doing this, what it's doing is it's just demolishing that barrier between the new and the old and the real looking and the fake looking and just saying, you know what? They're all stories and they have different aesthetics and who cares because it's all a thing. What it reminds me of really is like they do this in comic books all the time. Like I've seen this in a number of like Bendis books and stuff like that where like I
think Alan Moore did it like to the point of absurdity.
Right, like the Supreme thing and everything like that.
Bananas.
Where it's just like, oh, we're doing a flashback to something which takes place in Spider-Man's past, so now all of a sudden it's going to look like a comic from the 60s. And it looks like it took place in the 60s too, because, that's when even though it was supposed to be 10 years ago, and this comic was written in 2003 or whatever. It's doing so much more than just recapping what happened before. And it is kind of awesome because I think we've talked about this here. I've talked about it elsewhere for sure, but like I'm just kind of over trying to make everything in not just Star Trek, but movies in general just all fit. And I'm just kind of ready to sort of let go and just be like, whatever. It's a story. It's fake. I know that it's all fake. So we can play around with form. And you know what? We're doing this as fans. We all watched it. We all made that connection, even if they, for years and years and years, have not been willing to. And here it is. They're willing to. And by doing that, and here's another thing which makes it okay in that previously on thing, that cut from old Pike to new Pike and bridging that gap and sort of like making it like a memory of what happened before. It's just brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. So anyway.
Yeah, like to me, it's a problem because when you watch The Cage and you view it through modern eyes, it's kind of a bummer because I mean, like there's like that thing that Star Trek does where like the guy meets a pretty girl and they fall in love and have sex and then he goes away.
Well, the other thing, I forget who it was who said this. Someone on Twitter said, the message of The Cage is that it's better to die than live in a cage. If you're a man, it's better to die than to live in a cage.
Yep.
But if you're a woman, it's better to live in a cage than be ugly.
Yes, it is not a good thing.
Yeah,
I mean, like
wait, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you for just 1 second? Because I just want to bring up one thing.
We don't do that on this show.
Okay, that portrayal of the black hole right here, right?
Yes.
As I understand it, that is basically what black holes look like. And as I understand it, the reason why we know that is because when Christopher Nolan was making Interstellar, instead of spending the money to have some visual effects artists come up with cool things that black holes could potentially look like, he instead spent that money on scientists to figure out what actually black holes look like. And now, I mean, we just saw it here. You see it in the end credits of Captain Marvel. And I love the fact that, because here's the thing, it looks just as cool as anything that any, sci-fi concept artist could have come up with, right? So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, like, definitely Interstellar definitely helped the depiction of black holes visually. I mean, like, we knew before Interstellar that they would be spherical and they would warp light around them in weird, peculiar ways, and that they would look kind of like they're sort of like, because they bend light around them, kind of like a droplet of oil, because they reflect and refract in weird ways, but you can't really see any detail on them. So, definitely Interstellar helped the depiction. But even before that, we knew, like, oh yeah, Disney's black hole is bananas and stupid looking. So in some ways, yes, I think what Interstellar did was it said, yeah, these can actually look cool without looking dumb.
Okay. So anyway, getting back to the problem with the gender politics in The Cage.
Yeah, I don't like The Cage for a lot of reasons. I mean, like, I have a hard time dealing with that stuff. Like, it's difficult to watch some of the original series episodes and not go like, oh God, this is a mess. And like you do a lot of like mental gymnastics in order to like not stop watching when going through the original series. Like, oh, this is where that started, and oh, here's where they first tried to do this, and you do that until, like, I don't know, like season 3 of Next Generation. You're like doing a lot of work in order to justify what you're seeing. Like, they're getting a little bit closer each time, and they kind of get there towards the end. And I think Discovery is like, we're almost there. Like, we're really pretty close to getting it all correct, at least, as far as it is. But even back when like these shows were airing, there were people who were like, no, that's messed up, guys.
Well, yeah, and you still get that with Discovery now too. And I think it's just one of those things where, I mean, yeah, you need to kind of look at it in historical context. And it's something that, like,
you try.
They will admit that too. The creators of Star Trek will admit that too. I mean, Ira Stephen Bear has talked about that, like saying, like, if we were doing Deep Space Nine now, it would be a lot more progressive, because that's kind of how we went. I mean, this is another thing. Like, I don't know. I always hear things random places that put other things into perspective. And
wait, whoa. You hear things other places that put things into perspective?
I mean, Star Trek in particular, right? Like,
okay.
Like I was hearing, Kevin Smith talk about Chasing Amy, and about how Chasing Amy,
oh boy,
is heavily, thematically about LGBTQ issues, right? But
no, well, God,
but it gets a lot of stuff wrong, right? And he talked about that, and he's like, yeah, I was young and I was stupid, but I've learned a lot since then, and I'm not the same person who made that movie. And if I were to make it today, it would be way different, like that kind of thing.
If you made Chasing Amy today, it wouldn't be the movie that it is.
And I mean, I think that's kind of what he's saying,
Yeah,
and
if I made that movie today, it would not be that movie.
I mean, yes.
That's not a sentence.
No, but I mean, it is a sentence, because you say like the idea, which, Chasing Amy is founded on.
Yes, I understand. The idea that the cage is founded on is so messed up.
No,
that you can't really do it. You can do like
a different.
What
thing.
if there are these aliens that control reality around you, and they want to study and understand you, and they kind of want to keep you around because they're curious and they want to have a little human zoo. And it's like, okay, fine, that's fine. Don't do it like this, guys. Like, this is not the way to go.
Exactly, but you figure out how to do it anyway.
Yes, and this is the main reason why when I was like, oh my god, they're using the original footage for the previous Leon. That's crazy. And then I was like, no, it doesn't make it work by doing this. It's still a problem because like they're not addressing the fundamental problem with that episode.
But what you're doing is you're telling a story which is based on that episode, and you're, I guess, in a lot of ways, kind of like cherry picking the things that you want from it, and not necessarily referencing the others. I think that works fine, and I think it was Brandon Shea Matala on Twitter who was like, "Oh my God!" They look at what they're doing with these flowers, and if anyone has a problem with Klingons, they should watch this thing, and I mean, and I agree with that, and the fact that they showed.
I agree. Like the idea of like updating these things visually. I mean, I don't really care that much. Like I'm not a stickler for like uniforms or the way things look.
No,
I don't really care that much. Like my problem with the usage of the cage is that the cage is a bad story.
No. I mean, I know that's what you're saying. I was moving on, but yes.
Okay.
Because
you don't want to deal with the fundamental problem that Star Trek was founded on something politically untenable.
No. I think that's a very interesting discussion to have. I think that you can.
Oh, Melissa George showed up, and she's
hey.
Amazing. I've been a fan of hers since In Treatment. I had seen her before that, but she didn't make an impression until In Treatment.
Well, In Treatment, I mean, she was for the longest time. She was the person who was in one scene of otherwise, really great movie. Not. I don't mean that to be like her scene sucked. No. What I mean is like
she was the woman who showed up in a movie that was otherwise great.
That's not what I meant at all. Like in The Limey. Like she plays Jenny, who, I mean, the movie starts off like, tell me about Jenny. And the whole thing is about what happened to Jenny. And you see her in these little flashbacks, which are like distorted, and which she's like yelling dialogue, but you don't hear any dialogue. Like that's a super tiny role, but a super important role. She's also like in the beginning of Dark City, I think that she's the person who's like killed, who like starts that whole story. And so I guess she basically just played the person who gets killed in stories, which starts those stories in motion. I mean, that seems to be.
No, she also played a nanny on Friends.
Well, she was in. I mean, the first thing which I saw her on, where she actually got to do like a lot of stuff in more than one scene, was Alias. She came in season 4 of Alias and was a regular on the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's great. That's the point. She's great.
She is. She is great.
So, here's the thing which I think did not need updating, and that's the look of the Telosians. I mean, yes, tweaking and whatever, but I always thought that the makeup that they used in the cage for the Telosians was way, way, way ahead of its time. And maybe it was just the style that they were going for or whatever, but it always completely worked for me. And I do not think that you needed such a substantial redesign for this. And I'm not saying that I have a problem with it because it looks different or anything like this or anything like that. You know, what I'm saying is like, I don't think that it was necessary in order for it to fit with the aesthetic of Discovery. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I don't care either way.
Okay.
Because when they appeared on screen and they had like ridges, I was like, oh well, I might honestly. Are we 100% sure that we're even seeing how they really look?
Oh, that's true.
Like we don't really know. Like
Yeah.
maybe they're just like showing up differently, you know, because like they know that this footage is being viewed by people in the 21st century
Yeah.
who are going to be you know, they could have done something a little bit more interesting than just a big head.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe that's what's going on. But, you know, that's like extending my headcanon to penetrate the fourth wall. And that's pretty dangerous. That can cause problems.
It gives a whole new meaning to headcanon. Am I right?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Am I right?
You should be sentenced to live on Talos for a long time.
Oh, well. Okay. So,
I have a theory now, by the way, because I also am still concerned with preserving canon. My theory is that because Section 31 knows about Talos 4 and the Telosians, that they used them in order to erase knowledge of Section 31.
maybe that'll happen later on in the season.
Yeah, no, it's not likely. That's not likely. How would that work? How would that work? Somebody walks in and is like, oh, do you think Section 31 did that? And so the other person's like, what are you talking about? Is that even a thing? You just make up a word? And they're like, no, I mean, those are numbers. And like, they have a little back and forth, and then somebody's like, oh, yeah, we're doing some work. It's a little behind-the-scenes thing. It's very Dark City. Have you seen that?
It's got Melissa George in it in like one scene.
Great.
She's awesome.
Great. She's
So, you know, it's kind of cool here. One of the things that I love about this episode is that since it is so tied into the cage, they decided for whatever reason to essentially adopt like old school techniques when it comes to like visual effects, transitions and stuff like that. Like with all of the stuff with the Telosians and like vision and everything like that, it's all done essentially practically. I mean, not 100%, but like using like techniques that they could have used back in the 60s or did use back in the 60s. Like the, you know, stereotypical, we're going to a dream sequence, so let's like have everything go out of focus and then come back into focus like we just saw there. Or like when we see, you know, Vina's true form, there's just a lens flare which shoots across the screen, and then when it comes back she's, you know, different. I mean, that is so cool because it's so old school, and they throw in like little sound effects which are like from the original episode, and it totally works. I love it so much.
I don't think there's anything revolutionary there. I think that's how you depict it, because
No.
we're not dealing with like sci-fi like visual things. Like these are thoughts and memories, and
look,
it's like
but
psychic stuff. It's
sure.
You hop from brain to brain with cuts and transitions and wipes. You don't do it with
but there's
CGI head zooms.
But lots of times that they do it that way, and for this one they chose not to do that, and I think
I can't think of any.
that's really cool. I mean, they do that.
I can't think of any time.
No, I mean, you know, I think that it works really well here. So
no, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just like, I think that's because they knew that this is how you do it. You know?
I don't know. I think they were really influenced by the 60s techniques and stuff like that. I really do. So
Yeah, because that's when they started doing movies with psychics and stuff.
No, that's because that's when The Cage was made. So
No, I don't think that they're thinking that way.
I do. So
Fine.
Okay.
Okay, so here we're dealing with the future technology, and this Red Angel has seen stuff from the future, and it's come back in time, and it's like, all right, guys. All right, so this future technology, they're influencing the past, and the Red Angel is trying to prevent that. That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. I can go into it, but I'm not gonna.
We'll have to have like a little supplemental or something like that where we talk about the time travel and whatever. I'm sure that people have figured out what all of these planets are. I'm not sure that I know what all of them are, right? Because I'm assuming that they're all supposed to be like Vulcan and Romulus or whatever and stuff like that, right?
I assumed that, like, doesn't she mention like Andoria?
Yeah, I think
like,
she does.
Like she name drops Andoria, and I'm like, whoa, lady, you know Andoria from space?
Yeah.
Like, these planets all kind of look alike. Like,
no, I could see that.
like-
I mean, for one thing, Andorians were one of the founding members of the Federation, right? So
Yeah,
there's
I
only
know,
like
but I mean,
6
like-
of those. I mean, like,
from space, they all look kind of like oh, there's a lot of clouds and a little bit of red.
I don't
that
know.
That
I
could
mean,
be
like
Vulcan.
you can look at a map and say, well, that's Italy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not with all you're seeing. I didn't see any continents. I saw clouds.
I don't know. I could tell what Vulcan was, and I've never been to Vulcan. I mean, that's a made up, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So one of the things which Brandon asked me specifically to mention was like the cinematography and direction in this episode, because he thought that they did a really good job of making it look cinematic. And he was saying like, what lenses did they use? You know, because there's a lot of like wide angle lenses and stuff for sure, which I think is really cool. But I think also maybe part of this is the fact that there are a lot of lens flares in this episode. You know, I haven't heard anyone freaking out about it, which is weird because, you know, that's what people seem to love to freak out about. But I love the way this episode looks. TJ Scott directed this. He did an episode last season too. But yeah. And he also, by the way, was a director on Cleopatra 2525. Just want to bring that up.
God, you gotta go through people's dirty laundry and bring up all the bad things that they've done.
Cleopatra 2525 is the cleanest laundry in the history of laundry. Like,
oh my God,
they use like one of those Tide Pods on that show or something.
Yeah, they ate a lot of Tide Pods on that show.
Cleopatra 2525 is the best. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. All right. Like I've liked Wilson Cruz for a long time. I thought he was great in a lot of stuff in the past. But like until this episode, I did not think like, oh, he's real. Like this guy could be an action hero. Like he's got like a presence and he is intimidating. I would love to see him as the hero of an action movie.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Because he looks, I mean, I would love to hit a fight scene. Like, come on, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. Like last year,
He looks like it. He looks like he's in an action movie, like set in space in this episode.
No, he always looked like that. Like you see him like in his
No, he
like,
always
doctor's
looked
uniform.
cool. He always looked cool. He never looked this tough.
Yeah, I
think it's the white. He was wearing white always before, and now he's wearing like a black. Like,
well, he's got like
short sleeve cut off thing.
Yeah,
It's,
where you can like
tough
really see
looking.
his muscles and stuff like that.
Yeah, and dude is shredded. Like
he
this
is.
guy, he looks awesome. Like I would love to see him in I would love to see him fight Jason Statham. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Fast and Furious 9.
Whichever number they're at.
Well, it's going to get more confusing now because of the Hobbs and Shaw movie. But anyway, that doesn't matter.
Let's talk about that for the rest of this.
So, it is interesting though, because like last season I was like really digging like the Culber Stamets, relationship. And, when they killed Culber, I was like, why are you doing this? Which everyone else was saying the same thing, of course.
Yeah, the entire viewership was like, "What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You talked up this relationship
Right.
for a while before. Like, we were aware of a lot of like promotional stuff, and we were like reading interviews and things and seeing things, and people were like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be a big deal, this relationship." And it's like, "Oh, you killed one of them, guys.
And
don't. What are you doing?
and
what are you doing, guys?"
You had that shock, which was like, okay, cool, you got the shock, but then you lost that thing that was really working in order to get the shock. And
yes,
now that it's back, that relationship is back, but it's different. Like, I'm not responding to it the way that I was before. And the thing that I am responding to is like Culber's relationship with others, like his relationship with Tyler is, to me, like way more interesting now than his relationship with Stamets. And
well, I know what you mean. Like, but my feeling is like I'm seeing like Stamets' point of view, and I'm just like, my God, this is the saddest story ever.
No, I mean, that's
this guy like lost the person he loves, and then they came back and broke up with them.
Yeah,
like
no, I mean,
this is the worst.
That's definitely true, and maybe the reason why I don't like it is because I don't like how it makes me feel.
This is like if your daughter gets run over by a car, you bury her in the pet cemetery, she comes out and she's like, "I want to live with mom." Like, this is the worst series of events.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where I kind of feel like they sort of, and who knows, we'll see where it goes, but I kind of feel like they sort of messed up what they had going with that relationship by taking this turn. I don't know, but
I assume that they're building to like a real like reunification that'll be significant and important, because like they have to deal with this like transformative experience, and like if he just goes back to being how he was before,
like,
that
would be
doesn't
kind of
really.
Yeah,
you have to earn it back,
right?
So like they're gonna earn it back, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
but in this episode, I'm like, oh my God, why don't they have a counselor on this ship? Like, what is I know why Troy was there now. Like, obviously she was there because this happened.
Yeah.
And Stamets like went into a complete like depressive tailspin, and they were like, "All right, guys, I think we should have counselors on ships, right? That's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. Anyway, it just seems that storyline seems to be moving at like a snail's pace now, which is kind of disappointing because I just kind of want to get on to the next thing. You know what I mean? In terms of their relationship, but whatever.
Yeah, I understand. When a relationship is in an awkward place, you really just want to go like, "Honey, can we move on from this? Like, can we stop fighting about this and like get back to normal?" And the other person's like, "No, like this is happening. You can't just skip the awkward part. Like, this is happening now.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to move through this, and it's not gonna end on your timetable." And that's rough. It's also honest, and to me, oh my God, there's Alison Down. She's from 12 Monkeys.
Oh,
right. So when I freak out about the time travel in 12 Monkeys, I'll be bringing her up.
Cool.
So like, she's cool. But like the awkwardness of that relationship and where they are, to me, that's what's working the most now.
Okay. All right.
Because everything else, I'm like, I'm kind of half in, half out. I don't really like this like Spock is crazy nonsense, and I hate that the depiction of the thing that happened between Spock and Burnham. It's like, okay, yeah, she said some racist stuff to him. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, she could have just said that in the first episode.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing, right? Like, because there's been a lot of people debating online. I've seen people say like I don't buy that Spock would be traumatized by what she said, and there's other people who would be like, oh no, he totally could be, because that happened to me as a kid and I'm still traumatized to this day, and like I totally get that. My problem with it is the same thing that you were saying just now, right? Which is like, why is this a mystery? Like, she could have just very easily said that to whoever, to her mom in that case.
Exactly.
And then, that did not need to be something which was revealed here like this. That could have just been...
we had to dive into her mind in order to reveal that, like, she yelled at him and said very hurtful things. Yeah. She did say that she did that.
And the thing about that too is it's like and maybe they'll deal with this, or maybe it's just implied, but like the fact of the matter is, the reason why she said that is because she herself was the victim of not one but two terrorist attacks, right? And she's traumatized as well, right? So she's going to make mistakes when she's a little kid, and she's trying to protect others from that sort of thing. And I don't know, just the way that, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this scene works for me, and I love the fact that, because like I was totally with Tilly here when Saru's like, we need to let this play out, and she's like, whoa,
bro, and I don't think
in like another show it would have just been like, yeah, you need to let that play out, like the typical scene in any action movie where it's like, I've got a gun on you at this critical moment, but I'm going to throw the gun off to the side so that we can fight mano a mano, because, we need to settle some stuff. And it's just like, well, yeah, that's what you do. And like here they have like a whole scene afterwards where, Pike is like, you know what, Saru?
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No, like, this is a crazy situation. Like, Saru in his new, like evolved state, he's like, nah, sometimes bros gotta beat it out of each other, like, this is just how it goes. And I'm like, and I'm in Tilly's shoes going like, the last time these guys were this close to each other, one of them killed the other one without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, that is true. That's certainly a point. And I do love this thing here where they just sort of like they just stop.
Like if Tyler killed him here,
that would be,
imagine this show.
Yeah.
If that had happened,
that would be bad. Yes.
Like Stamets would be like, seriously, bro?
Yeah. That would have been unfortunate. That would have been, but and you there are. I mean, we know that Pike does not trust Tyler, right?
I agree.
For all he knows, that could have started something. But I do like that, the idea here now too that they've sort of planted, where it's like they're both going through the same thing in a sense. They're both having like an identity crisis.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a version of this series of events where, like, I see them, like, bonding over not knowing who they are and trying to find themselves, but, like, the two of them in group therapy together is a very amusing image that also seems totally nuts.
Well, yeah, and that is part of the thing, too. Like, when, Stamets is taking him back to their quarters and they see Tyler, and he's like, I'm going to request right now that, they move him to another deck. And it's like, that should have been the first thing that 10 people said as soon as Culber came back on the ship.
Why didn't everyone say, look, Tyler, I accept that you're here. I accept that this is a thing that has happened. But here's the thing. As much as we are all aware that was Vogue that did that and you're not him, I have no problem admitting that he might never be able to be in the same room as you.
Right.
And I am not going to give him a hard time for that.
Yeah, exactly. And you would think that Tyler himself would be like, can I switch quarters to a different floor because, you know.
Like, there are so many solutions to this that would have been like presented before we got to this point. We're like, oh, we're going back to our room. Oh, there's that guy that killed you. Oh, I changed some of the decor. Remember that guy that killed you? I'm going to move him to a different floor so you don't have to see the guy that killed you over and over again.
Yeah, there does seem to be, I mean, they're almost treating it like it's like, this is something that can't be avoided. It's an awkward situation, but it is what it is. We all have to learn how to live together on this one.
You know how it is when somebody kills you and you come back to life and you just see their face every time you go to work. It's really a bummer.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know how it is when, you know, somebody kills the person you love and then you see their face over and over again because they're not in jail.
Yeah. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
What can you do? So,
I don't know.
So here we're seeing Vina meet with Pike for the first time through projection and everything. And
I remember I was watching this and I was like, hey, her hair looks like 60s hair. But you know what? It doesn't. It's still more modern than the hair. The hair in the original episode is bananas. It's like punk 80s hair.
But I think they did a good job giving like a very 60s vibe to her look. I mean, like she's got like those weird shoes on and everything like that. I know you didn't see them.
Again, you're noticing shoes. I wasn't even 100% certain that she had feet.
Yeah. So, you know, I think they did a pretty good job with that, to be honest. But, and then, yeah. I like this. I like all this stuff because it's so simple. It's so simple in the way that it's done, but effective.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is actually some pretty sophisticated CG compositing here.
Well, probably, but I don't. It feels simple. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It feels simple. So
this is a much better implementation of the like two sets shot composition. It doesn't have that awkward thing that they did in the previous episode.
You know, I like the way that they did it in the previous episode. It was very bold, but this is like Last Jedi kind of in its portrayal, where it's like, oh, they're talking to each other and you're doing, over two shot things, but you're on two different sets and because the people are in two.
Yep.
It works. Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Yep. So we're talking about the Red Angel's plans now, and
so we know that the Red Angel is human.
I don't like it.
Which I guess that's an important piece of the puzzle, because one of the things which they kept on saying...
Is it?
Well, no, in this sense. One of the things that they kept on saying was like, the technology is so advanced, it must be from the future. And I keep on thinking like, okay, right now you're talking to someone through like another being's mind. So maybe there are technologically advanced beings out there who aren't necessarily from the future. They just have some really cool tech that you don't have yet. Like, how do you know that this is futuristic tech? It's futuristic for Starfleet. Like, you haven't seen anything this advanced, but that doesn't mean that there isn't anything this advanced. But, Spock mind melded with them or whatever and said, oh, it's a human. So, okay. So that makes it.
I mean, the presumption, like after like a certain point, they were like, okay, like there's evidence that there's time travel involved, or it's just different technology that like looks like time travel. But like the idea that time travel being involved and it's a humanoid, like, all right, the technology is super advanced. It seems like time travel might be involved. Future obviously makes sense because, I mean, obviously that's a thing. We all accept that. We saw what happened on Enterprise, and that's in their past, so they're well aware that time travel happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the idea, that they accept the concept that this could be from the future, and with technology this advanced, it's one of the top three possibilities.
Yeah. No, and they did the whole tachyon thing and everything like that too. It was just, I think it was the fact that before time travel was thought of as a thing, they were like, that's technologically advanced. It
Yep.
must be from the future.
Yep.
So the woman here who's in the spore drive place, that's Sarah Middich, I think her name is. She's the person who played Arium, the robot lady, in season 1, and now she's not, which is interesting. I don't know why that change was made, but
Well, I think because they're going to kill Arium and they didn't want to fire her.
oh, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
But yeah. Here we see Arium making things difficult for Tyler.
I think what she's doing more than making things difficult for Tyler is making things difficult for human cyborg relations. Guys, this is what happened. This is why there are no cyborgs in the Federation for like another 100 years. It is messed up, man. Like, obviously, like this one cyborg was turned by a CG, like a computer virus from the future that was sent back in time, and she was like, "Oh my God, so evil." Well, we can't trust them because they can, like, a virus can be uploaded and that can affect their behavior. That's not cool. We can't have them around. And then for like a century, like cyborgs all throughout the galaxy are like, you can't get a job, you can't get a job in Starfleet. It's not an option. They do not want our kind. It's messed up, man.
So that's your headcanon for why, like...
Yeah, yes, and I have a real problem with having like the one like non 100% biological member of the crew being turned into a bad person because of like an alien virus. That's messed up, guys. That's like how like every time like Troy was like invaded by an alien psychology, because it's like, oh, she's the one person who's accessible, so she's vulnerable. It's like, you can't. That can't be the thing that dominates the storyline for these characters.
Okay, I guess I don't necessarily have a problem with it, since like the character was really
I'm presenting the political argument for being fair to our cybernetic citizens. I'm being so woke. I'm protecting demographics that don't exist yet.
Okay. That's fair. So what do you think about the look of Talos 4?
Oh, the rock quarry?
It's but also like the color timing too.
Don't care.
Okay. You like the rock quarry though?
As rock quarries go, it's not like in my top 10, but it's not in my bottom 10,
Okay.
It's fine. I don't like this. I don't like how they did this. I think this is dumb. They built this episode like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. Yeah, you got to fix Spock's brain. And they're like, oh, well, only if we can also have a flashback to your origin story. And it's like, no, guys, that's not how this works. Like, that's their payment. That's a dumb payment. Like, why do they even have to use the word payment? And they do. It is... I don't like that. That's silly. It's silly. It's low stakes science fiction bargaining.
Yeah. No, well.
But Spock was adorable as a kid. Look at that guy.
So, this whole sequence here, this whole thing, like this being the rift, and everything like that. I'm curious to see where they go with it from here, because he acknowledges, like I see what you're trying to do, and she's like, I should not have done that, but it almost feels like she's being harder on herself than he is being on her, you know? So it seems like they would be cool now, right?
No.
But, okay.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I think that what Spock says is so cold-blooded.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's just being...
He's like, yeah, when you did that thing that cut me to my core, you taught me that I gotta be hard. Like, that is messed up.
I guess
like
so.
He's saying, you shattered me completely. So I built a different person who can stand here and say, I don't care anymore.
No.
That's messed up.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Okay.
To me, this relationship will never be healed because Spock is not going to try. And he thinks, because of how much he was hurt in the past, that it's good that he's not going to try.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you just said that essentially. So,
yeah, and that to me explains perfectly why he doesn't bring her up, because she doesn't mean anything to him anymore, which is really pretty dark and serious, and I'm okay with it.
yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right, that's fine. That's fine. She doesn't mean anything to him anymore. It's kind of iffy because then later on he does care about other people, and you kind of go like, oh, well, how come he didn't, like, at some point, like, while talking to Kirk, go like, you know what's weird? I was pretty messed up when I was younger. Like, back when I had a beard, I said some messed up stuff to my sister, and in retrospect, it seems like maybe I should give her a second chance. Oh, she's for sure dead now? Okay, never mind.
Spoilers for season 3.
Oh, that's right. She became a Red Angel. Never mind.
I don't think she's the Red Angel, but whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, sure. It's some unnamed character we haven't met yet.
No. I mean, I think there is really something to be said for it being Amanda, but whatever. Anyway,
Sure.
We're not going to speculate, right? That's what
I
we
don't.
were saying last
I don't
week?
care. I'm 100% convinced it's Michael. I don't really care if it isn't.
Okay. All right.
I'm like Spock. I don't care about nothing.
All right. Cool. This is a pretty cool trick they play on Section 31 here with the beaming up of the fake people.
Yeah, I mean,
I
was a little bummed that I saw it coming. I was like,
what?
I was a little bummed that I saw it coming. I was like,
Yeah.
Obviously the Telosians are giving them a little helping hand here.
I didn't,
and then like immediately they warp away. Like are the is the helmsman on this Section 31 ship just like hovering over the go button? It's like
they
the
have
instant.
that locked in. I mean, that's what Sulu would do.
I guess, but they never warp away that fast.
But you know what? I mean, it was cool about it, and like I noticed it at the time, but I didn't pick up on that. I mean, they tricked me too. But then, like second time through, I was like, oh, that's why they did it. When they beam aboard, the sound effect that they use for the transporter is the same as what was used in the cage. So that was cool. But anyway, hey, here's another thing which I find to be very strange, and I don't know, maybe this is more realistic, maybe it's not, but they're at yellow alert right now, right? Like they never go to red alert, like ever, right? Like there's stuff that happens where it's like, wait, now you're at red alert, like because back in like especially like the next gen era, it's like somebody trips and falls on like a toy which was left in the turbo lift, red alert, like they're always at red alert, and here they never go to red alert, like even when their first officer or whatever might be ripped in half by a transporter. It's just weird.
I mean, like, I think, like, on some level, maybe, like, it's a reflection of, like when your security guy is Worf, who's, like, always ready for a fight.
Yeah.
You're like, every time I go to yellow alert, I can see it on his face that he's bummed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, like, maybe, like, I mean, I don't remember if it's the same in season 1 with Yar, but, like, maybe they're always on edge. Maybe that's what's going on.
Maybe. I don't know. Here's the other thing about the lens flares in this episode. We've seen a few creep up here and there throughout the season, you know, partially because they're using anamorphic lenses, which naturally have more lens flares. But this episode, they go crazy with them to the point of, like, introducing them in places where you wouldn't normally see them, and taking over the frame in a way similar to what, you know, J.J. Abrams is known for doing. But the thing that I love about I love all lens flares. It doesn't matter what they are. I love them because they're beautiful. But whatever. The reason why I really love them here is because they very much are, in many cases, plot motivated, but in some cases just sort of like creating like this overall aesthetic of, like, it's a dream, or it's, you know, in your head, or whatever. It's dream-like. It's very similar actually to the way that they're used in Punch Drunk Love, which is also very effective and which is a masterpiece, which I know that you love too, Max.
Oh, it's the best. I love that part when the movie ends.
If you haven't seen Punch Drunk Love, check it out. It's got some of the best lens flares in movie history. Anyway.
That's a good reason. That's the best reason to watch the movie. It's got some of the best lens flares in movie history.
Oh, well.
That's got to be on the box. Like, best lens flares in movie history.
There you go.
Yeah, Close Encounters, nothing. Ain't nothing in Close Encounters that this movie don't got.
Yep.
Poltergeist, whatever.
Die Hard. But
2001,
that doesn't have a lot of lens flares.
It has a few lens flares, and they're like
few.
part of the story. So
Whatever. Anyway, so now, I mean, Spock's on board, and what are they going to do? Is Spock going to get a cool disco uniform?
Is Spock going to join Section 31?
I doubt it.
Who cares? So this is the point of the episode where they're like, oh, I guess we're fugitives now? And, you know, I'm like, weren't you kind of already? Like,
not really, I don't think.
You definitely helped fugitives escape Section 31. That definitely happened.
Oh. But, well, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, come on. Yeah, they did. So, like, they're fleeing now, and I guess, like, I was a little bit annoyed that, like, the next week on was immediately like, oh, and there's another admiral on the ship. I guess it didn't go that badly.
Well, they're also, like, attacking Section 31, so
yeah.
Anyway, so where do you put? A lot of people are saying this is the best episode of the season and one of the best episodes of the show. Where do you put this episode in the?
Don't care.
Okay, cool. I can respect that. Be sure to check out our Discovery coverage throughout the week. There's Live from the Edge with Bruce and Brandy, Postcards from the Edge with Amy, The Main Show with Patrick, and Notes from the Edge with Chris. We'll be here before you know it. And then there's also us. You'll find all of these in the main feed for The Edge or in the Trek FM master feed. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Discovery, and the best place to do that is in the Babel Conference, which is our listeners group on Facebook, where Amy Nelson will collect your feedback for Postcards from the Edge. You can also find us on Twitter at TrekFM or send us an email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and choose The Edge. We'd also like to thank our associate producers, Norman C. Lau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Puleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reutner, Ryan Malett, Chris Tribuzio, and Brian Maloche. Thank you very much for helping us. We really appreciate your support. If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows going and even become an AP yourself, visit patreon.com/trekfm for all the details. Well, I guess that's it for this week. Until next week, be sure to adjust the tracking on your VCR.
So you can watch the black and white VHS of The Cage.
There you go.